How's it going? It is all the news all the time. And my name is Adam. I thought we would look today at the interview with Johnny Depp's legal team with Court TV. It's a very interesting organisation, Court TV, and it's nice to hear the inside sort of thought processes and considerations that the legal team were coming to during the trial. So I thought we'd look at that, and I'll provide some commentary or general annoyance.
Johnny Depp, has he recovered everything that he wanted?
I mean, I think it means everything to him. And it means everything to his children. You know, he did this for his children and to protect his legacy and their legacy, right? I think he's a father, and he's a very good father, and he cares very much for those two kids.
I think this is a type of case where you could have put on a perfect case and still lost. It was tough, right? I mean, it's a tough burden, it's tough issues, but when that first, the first statement, they said, you know, yes. Do they find this was defamatory? And they went through all the yeses. We were all holding each other's hands under the table, and we're just, oh my gosh. And then it was all three.
It shouldn't be the situation that if you present a perfect case, you still lose. That's not what law should be. Law should be, if you have the correct case and you follow the law, your case should win. It shouldn't be down to opinions or people's feelings or social justice activism. It should just be the law. If you are correct in the law, you should win. If you are incorrect in the law, you should lose. It shouldn't be a lottery or a coin flip.
And it was such a relief, but it was just so, we were just really happy for Johnny, honestly.
Anytime you go into a trial, it really comes down to a coin flip. Whether it's a judge deciding it or whether it's a jury deciding it, you don't know for sure how it's going to go. And this was a particularly sensitive case. These were serious allegations. And all it took really was for a few of these jurors to believe Ms. Heard's story, and we could have been in a very bad position.
In a defamation case, any statement that is made that is true is de facto not defamatory. If you make a statement, no matter how horrible it is, if it's true, it's not defamatory. Therefore, all they had to do to win, I'm talking about Amber Heard's team, all they had to do was to prove one incidence of domestic abuse, and her statement would have been true and therefore not defamatory, and she would have won. Only one incident out of all the incidences she claimed over all those months and all those recordings and all the pictures, all they had to do was prove one single incident and they would have won, and yet they failed.
But we put on an intelligent and effective case, and so by the end I was leaning towards thinking we had it, but confident, no.
Both sides have appealed here. In Amber Heard's brief, she highlights the issue of the split verdict, inconsistent verdict. Yeah. She says the resulting jury verdict against Heard on all of Depp's claims cannot be reconciled with the jury verdict against Depp on Heard's counterclaim. She goes on to say, to find in favor of Depp, the jury must have concluded that Depp did not abuse Heard and that Heard knowingly lied in accusing him of abuse. But to find in favor of Heard, the jury must have concluded that Heard told the truth about being a victim of domestic abuse by Depp. Accordingly, the verdict against Heard cannot stand.
No, this is quite untrue and two different things entirely. Johnny Depp was found liable for the statements made by Adam Waldman, his lawyer, and Adam Waldman made multiple statements, most of which the jury found to be true or at least not defamatory. Statements such as Mr. Waldman saying Amber Heard went to court with painted on bruises to obtain a temporary restraining order. He also said Amber Heard and her friends in the media used fake sexual violence allegations as both sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp, he said in another article. In another one he said, Ms. Heard continues to defraud her abused hoax victim, the Me Too movement she masquerades as the leader of, and other real abuse victims worldwide. All of those statements the jury found to be believable and true. The one they found to be defamatory was this one here, which said, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt didn't do the trick. The officers came to the penthouse, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine, roughed the place up, got their stories straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911. It was that statement that the jury found to be defamatory.
The one statement where the jury found in favor of Ms. Heard is a very specific factual statement. It's not saying generally she lied about being abused. It is saying on this specific night, she did these specific things. And so that can be false, while the claims of abuse overall can be false as well.
There was a published letter by 130 experts in intimate partner violence, domestic abuse type of experts who signed this letter in support of Amber Heard. Post-verdict, months later, saying that there was this misunderstanding of what the cycle of violence would be and how a victim of domestic abuse would act or come across. What's your reaction to that show of support for Amber Heard?
I think that this is a delicate subject, and I think that there's a natural inclination of people to want to take allegations of abuse seriously. And we all do on this team, and Johnny does take allegations of abuse seriously. I think the core here is that this case was really just about these two people and what happened between these two people. And the evidence that was presented at trial, I think, convinced the jury and convinced a lot of people in the public that Johnny Depp is not an abuser.
Amber Heard released a statement after the verdict, and she's done an interview and even in her appellate brief talking about how this verdict has a chilling effect on possibly discouraging women who are victims of domestic abuse from coming forward afraid of exercising their First Amendment right because of backlash and of facing defamation lawsuits. What's your response to that?
I disagree. I think that the system worked. She just didn't get the outcome she had hoped for.